got teas and coffees in your hand. So Terry, nice to see you again. Have a seat. Take a seat there. Hello, nice to see you. Take a seat. Thank you, gentlemen. Good to see you. Hello there. We were out last night, had a fantastic speakers dinner. James, lovely to see you again. Right, this is our fantastic panel. I'm going to be introducing you to them. We also have a video introduction for one of them, which is very exciting. But first of all, if I can turn to Alex Hunter, a company incubator, I like the sound of that, an angel investor and a branding expert. Now, last night you told me that you used to work for the bearded one, which we're referring to Richard Branson. And obviously, you know, Will Whitehorn, who was Richard's right-hand man and left-hand man and every-hand man, who was in charge of Virgin Galactic. But your position, you served as the global head of online marketing for the Virgin Group, responsible for Virgin Brand's global digital strategy. Now, that sounds like quite a big task. Just give us a brief idea about that.
Yeah, it was absolutely exhausting. It was the most soul-destroying and wonderful job I've ever had. It's kind of split in two. It was the curation of the strategy of the mother brand, and kind of de facto CEO of Virgin.com, and then subject matter expert to the 300 businesses around the world on what should we be doing, what are the other companies doing, how can we run more efficiently, how can we appear to be even bigger than we actually are, which is kind of Virgin's way of doing things. Now,
you're being very modest, because I know the website has won several major accolades, including AdTech and Webby Award honours. So, obviously, a hugely significant player in the States. You're still based there at the moment, are you?
I split my time between the middle of nowhere in England and the middle of nowhere in California.
Okay, and here today?
And yeah, I'm here.
Fantastic. Well, good to have you here, Alex.
Thank you.
Before we show a very exciting intro for somebody else, James Denning, delighted to have you here. Now, very rare can you get anybody from Amazon to come along and talk. James is no longer with Amazon, but is out of an NDA, so can talk. And we mentioned earlier that every time people make reference to e-commerce, you can't help but mention Amazon within the same sentence. Now, James, I know you're a world authority on e-commerce, sales management and business development, and I actually met James last week. I had to introduce him for another show, and I said to him on Friday, what are you doing on Monday? Can you come to Poland? And he quite kindly changed his diary to be here. I think you've upset a few people on the way, but we're delighted to have you. You were head of enterprise sales at Amazon UK, and I know you're very busy now. You're founder and CEO of Finesight, an angel investor, and also a lecturer at Doug Richard's School for Startups. Doug Richard, I know some of you are very familiar with, is one of the dragons from Dragon's Den, which has been an incredibly popular program. That format has sold around the world. And James, I know you've got a very clear goal. It's to use your extensive industry experience to help companies get the best out of e-commerce operations, their sales teams and their leaders. So how do you go about doing that?
It depends. People are sometimes kind enough to invite me to stand on a stage and talk to them about it. But really, I think working for Amazon, you get a chance to see how people do it really, really well. You know, the trouble with working at Amazon is you're not trying to be the brightest guy in the room, you're trying desperately not to be the dumbest guy in the room. So just spending some time there, you get stuff that rubs off on you that you kind of see the elegance in it, and you want to kind of go and tell the whole world, hey guys, this is how you can do it. You can do this amazingly cool and clever stuff. And there's a reward in itself just for doing that.
But Amazon's obviously held up as a real success story, but the investors had very deep pockets. I don't think there's very few companies that would have given Amazon that length of time to get it right. Has that helped?
Yeah, there's a great quote from Jeff Bezos. And Jeff Bezos is, I'll be quite clear, he's instrumental to Amazon's success. And you know, the day he leaves is the day, I think, start looking at your shareholdings, because everything is very much, it's not its run around Jeff, but Jeff's kind of, his ethos does flow down through the company. And the best Jeff quote I've ever heard was this. He said, "We can afford to be misunderstood for a very long time." And that very much sums up Amazon. You know, lots of people say, why aren't they doing this? Why aren't they doing that? And the thing is, they probably are. They just don't talk about it. And the reason for that is simple. If you don't talk about things, if you don't pre-announce products or technologies, you can change direction incredibly quickly. So Amazon can spend tens of millions of dollars on something. The day before release, they can say, you know what? This is the internet. Things have moved on. Let's cancel that. And they can do that without their share price dropping by 20 points because the whole of the stock market goes, oh my God, Amazon have cancelled something. And that's the sole reason. And actually, it's a very good long-term strategy. Don't tell people about what you're going to do. Just release it and succeed because it's a great product or service.
Which makes us want more, you see. That's why I want to speak. And in a way, has been Sir Terry Leahy's great success. The press were after this gentleman for a long time in a nice way to interview, but you were very, very quiet with your management style. And in the end, we wanted to interview this guy, and you were rarely out there, were you, Sir Terry? You just kept it very quiet, the plans, and you let the growth happen.
Don't tell people what you're going to do, because in my case, you have no idea what you're going to do.
Okay, so we've met Sir Terry Leahy earlier. Welcome back to you. And I'm delighted to say last but not least, Ondrej Fryc co-founded Net Retail back in 2000, which I know you currently manage at the moment. Now, this is a really big player. And instead of saying anything at the moment, we've got a video. So let's take a look at the video.
A lot happened in the year 2000. One pretty cool millennium had just ended. Mad cows were mooing in England. And the Chinese feathered dinosaur was found out to be a fake. In the meantime, somewhere in the Czech Republic, Ondrej Fryc, with two of his friends, started a new e-shop and was waiting for the first order. And there it is! A cooker in desert for 510 euros. What a deal! Until the end of the year, other orders worth 36,000 euros arrived, and then the ball just kept rolling. In the year 2001, Ondrej and friends bought their first pickup truck, opened other e-shops, and reached a turnover of 1,040,000 euros. You've reached your first million, boys. Well done. Year 2002 and turnover of 4 million euros. 2003, new office in Prague, their own logistics, turnover 9 million euros. 2004, subsidiary, Brno, Ostrava, České Budějovice, turnover 23 million euros. In the year 2005, borders are crossed with subsidiaries in Hungary and Slovakia, turnover 30 million euros. In the year 2006, the company enters Poland and reaches turnover of 44 million euros. 2007, subsidiary in Germany, turnover 57 million euros. The year 2008 was the most difficult one. The SAP informational system was implemented with considerable difficulties. Turnover decreased to 52 million euros. But during the year 2009, everything worked itself out. All the shops merged under the common brand Mall and turnover rose to 76 million euros. Year 2010 and turnover of 110 million euros. 2011. The company closes its German subsidiary and focuses on the CEE region. It buys Slovenian #1 e-com Mimoverste SI. Turnover 146 million euros. In the year 2012, a strategic investor enters the company, South African multimedia giant Naspers. Projected turnover for this year is 200 million euros. How does a company founded by 3 friends in the year 2000 look today? Well, those 3 friends became a team of 400 colleagues. Top-notch customer service is the foundational strategy of the firm. To help customers, there are 30 operators available in the call center that daily handle up to 3,000 inquiries. Super modern logistical center sends off merchandise to customers every day from thousands of orders. In a year, it delivers, for example, 143,000 TV sets, 126,000 mobile phones, or 97,000 Lego building sets. The company holds an important position in the field of FMCG e-commerce. In 1 year, it delivers its customers 3,300 tons of dog food. To manage this amount of data, a high-performance IT structure is helping. It needs to deal with 100 million displayed pages a month and take care of 400 requests a second. And what are the plans for the future? The merge with the strategic investor will allow the company to further increase its services and technologies. Customers can look forward to even more comfortable shopping and more amazing customer service. And not only the current customers, but others from Serbia, Croatia and Baltic countries in 2013 and 14, and customers from Romania, Bulgaria, and Turkey in 2015. These countries are next on the list for the most significant e-retailer in the region. And maybe not only in that region.
So I think that says it all really. Net Retail are the most significant e-retailer in the region. And I Build not only is the biggest e-commerce player in the Czech Republic, but also the whole of the CEE, and includes countries like Slovakia, Hungary and Poland. And you had a recent acquisition in Slovenia, I understand, which again makes you a very big player in the former Yugoslav countries. So I'm getting the impression you're big in this region.
Well, we are certainly the biggest. I wouldn't say we are big. We are still way far from Tesco.
Okay, so your ambition is obviously to grow that, but you're the biggest in the region, but there's still a long way to go at the moment.
Oh, of course,
yeah.
Of course. We are, let's say, saying we are the Amazon of the Central and Eastern Europe, but when I look at the history of Amazon, actually Amazon was doing the same things we are doing now 8 years ago.
Okay, but it probably won't take you 8 years to get up to speed.
No, well, we can learn from their mistakes, so
yeah.
We will try to compress the time.
But you don't know any of their mistakes, that's the thing, they keep it very, very quiet. So what I want to do, obviously, is just quickly compare the differences between the US, the EU, and this region, so we can get a real sense of where we're at. We've already alluded to the idea that certain countries are ahead of the game. Let's start with the US. It's a market that you know incredibly well. Where are we with that e-commerce at the moment?
I think it's becoming very, very niche. I mean, you're always going to have Amazon doing their thing, and I think their strategy of enabling independent retailers to use the Amazon not only payment system but fulfillment system was a stroke of genius to make sure that they don't get left out of that little ultra niche market of I want a tuxedo for my Chihuahua kind of, and who doesn't, frankly. I think that's
Chihuahua's a dog, by the way, if anyone's wondering. I don't know how that's translated.
Yeah, thank you. But I think that's kind of where it's going. I mean, one of the trends when we were building Virgin America, which is an airline that I was part of the founding team of, was for the longest time, people wanted to talk to somebody when they were booking a flight. They wanted reassurance, they wanted hand-holding. Because for a lot of people, for most people, it's a transaction that happens once, maybe twice a year. I'm taking my family on vacation, I'm busting out the credit card, I'm about to put down this year's savings. This is a big deal. I want to make sure I've got it right. So as a result of that, as a percentage of sales channels, the web was very, very low for a lot of legacy airlines, and we wanted to flip that on its head. So we put a lot of time and energy into understanding the data that people needed to feel confident to make a decision. And one of the core learnings that we had was, as they were changing their price, as they were adding seats and bags and whatever other amenities, shifting the dates, looking at different destinations, that the price was reflected in real time. And they didn't have to go all the way through the process and then see the price and go, crap, no, that's not what I wanted, go back and start again. So we built this, which sounds totally pedestrian now, but then was reasonably revolutionary. And this was 2006, 2005. That as you manipulated your flight, the price, including the tax, was updated in real time and stayed with you throughout the booking process. So you weren't just slapped in the face with this sucker price. And that made people feel really, really confident. And we saw an extraordinary percentage of our initial sales come through the web. So it was that type of learning, and I think that startups have gotten really good at understanding their audience because they're much, much smaller, they're much, much more niche.
Well, you talk about that, actually. I did the Global E-commerce Summit in Barcelona in June, and we had a very inspiring lady from Modcloth, which are a huge US online retailer, started off in San Francisco, just, I think, a pair of lovers, had a vintage store. And now you've got the person running it used to formerly be in charge director of e-commerce at Walmart. So, you know, they've become very, very big. And the key to their success is a very interactive experience with the customer. So the customer's deciding the way that the fashions work, the way that the company should direct itself in the future. Are you finding that interactive experience is what the US is looking for now?
Yeah, I think so. I think that's a big component. And what's been born out of that is this, I think it might be, it's certainly trendy, but subscription product. But here's the crazy thing. It's subscription product and you don't know what you're getting. So you're getting these boxes delivered to your house every day with a bunch of random luxury food, and it could be jam and chocolate and coffee. That's all from these boutique brands, but it's not fulfilling I want my nappies coming every week at this time because that's how many I use. It's I have all this spare income and just send me luxury goodies every month. And then there's things like man packs, which is
man packs.
Man packs. Have you guys heard of man packs? Okay, so every month.
You look like you have a few yourself.
3 months, yeah. Paul's a big fan. Every month, 3 months, you get a fresh shipment of socks, underwear, and t-shirts.
Very good idea, yes.
And you can, you pick the brand and the style, and they send it to you every 3 months. So you don't have to do it because men are inherently lazy. Apparently, that's what we're being told. And so
you're presenting the US in a great light here. I was asking for a sweeping
American
overview.
men are inherently lazy.
Okay. But the market, just make it a bit broader in terms of the US. We are talking about, we haven't seen anything yet, but we are probably more advanced than any other country in the world when it comes to e-commerce. Would you be so bold to say that? So modest?
Web e-commerce. Okay. Mobile e-commerce, I would say not even close.
Right.
And I think that's becoming a massive distinction, and I think a lot of big US retailers and small US retailers are realizing that. I mean, you look at companies like Hotels Combined in the travel space that I know, that's purely a mobile play. And it's purely within 24 hours. So I arrive at my destination, and they only release this distressed inventory of hotels within 24 hours of the time you're going to be staying. And I think that the US is finally realizing that. But pioneer and leader in web, possibly, in mobile, no way.
Okay. Well, let's broaden it out now, look at the EU market to begin with, and we're in Terry and James in here. I mean, Terry, you've already spoken about the huge growth opportunities. And the EU, in many ways, has been a huge leader when it comes to e-commerce, quite willing to take the risks when it comes to consumers saying, no, I'm going to give this a go 10 years ago. So the UK, certain Scandinavian countries, lesser extent maybe Italy and Spain, probably because of the payment side. But what's been your experience of the EU when it comes to e-commerce?
I think it's still very fragmented. Interestingly, by some measures now, the UK actually is a bigger market for e-commerce than even the US. I think it's 5% in the US, 16% in the UK. And I think part of that is because the UK unusually has a huge food business online. And you're beginning to get quite a lot of exporters from the UK, e-commerce businesses. When I look around, and including the UK, there's still huge potential. And you mentioned mobile, that's just happening now. And it is true to say that people do want to connect with their outside world through their mobile device. And they're unable to do it nearly as satisfactorily as they want to. And a little business I've invested in called Eagle Eye actually has a lot of the sort of IP around the connection between physical terminals and mobile, which you need for security and things like that. They're collaborating with PayPal. So there's a lot of infrastructure still to go in to make all this really work on the payments side, on the marketing transaction side, as well as on the logistics side, actually getting the product through. A lot of the businesses are still quite small, and so they need to develop just broader capability, better financing, just more know-how. In terms of big traditional retailers and what they're doing, they've been slow. I think they've been fearful of it. They also feel, I can't carry this sort of loss-making division and so on. But I think those that have got over that and put e-commerce at the center of their business strategy, you're beginning to see some momentum. So Tesco does well, it's very profitable, they invest in it. John Lewis now, you can see a lot of momentum there. And these are beginning to be quite significant businesses, which is causing the retailer actually to think about their entire business differently. And that's the breakthrough point, when they really re-engineer their whole business as a result of the potential of m-commerce and e-commerce, rather than just sort of attach something to the side.
So it's that multi-channel approach, and I think it's proven that consumers that shop through all the different methods actually spend more overall. So just because you're shopping in store and online as well doesn't mean to say that's hampering the profits.
They do spend more and become more loyal. One of the great potentials of e-commerce is you can make a much richer relationship. It's more information rich with that customer.
Which you mentioned is where the club card really started to make its own, didn't it? Yeah, okay. And that multi-channel approach, obviously from Amazon's point of view, at the moment is, you know, a pure player. Do you see it eventually evolving like an eBay starting to open a few stores, or a Pixmania?
I think it's a very good question, and every year you see rumours about Amazon buying up, you know, properties on the high street, whether it's in downtown Seattle or in London. And I don't think it'll ever happen simply because it might work, but there are more important things for Amazon to spend their time and, more importantly, management time on. But the multi-channel thing, I think Terry's absolutely right. If you look at the numbers from it, I did some work with one of the big high street brands in the UK, I won't say who it is, but their average online customer who did online only spent about £130 a year. The average phone customer is about £90 a year. The average in-store customer is about £320 a year. The average customer that used all three channels spent over £1,500 a year on average. And they were very loyal, you know, so they were very loyal, they came back, they spent a lot of money. And the lovely thing about multi-channel as well is, as well as giving you this lovely multipartite return on, I'm sorry to the translators, multipartite is a terrible word. It gives you lovely online return on investment for your offline advertising. The same thing the other way around, money you spend advertising offline can also drive online footfall to your store. But also you get wonderful merchandising opportunities. Because when you sell things online, you get this lovely rich data. You know that of people who buy this particular type of glove, 40% of them will buy a walking guide to Poznań. Fine. So you can use that to educate and inform your in-store layout as well as how you merchandise things online. So multi-channel is very important. I think for the bigger picture of how people can learn from how Eastern Europe or Poland and other countries can learn from what's happened in the US and the UK, I think you can just look at the history over the last 5 years and see the things that have worked very, very well and focus your time and effort on those. And I'll pull out two examples. One is customer service, absolutely. And Amazon, I think, do lead the way in that. If you have any problems at all, you can get your money back or get a reorder, no questions asked. And that's absolutely critical. The second thing is look at different ways of delivering products and services. Argos, which is a big high street retailer in the UK, they were massively successful with the idea of click and collect, where you reserve something online and then you can go and pick it up from your local store. And this works very, very well with very large goods like white goods, where the delivery costs are quite prohibitive. And something like 57–60% of their online traffic was click and collect in the first year they launched it. So I think looking at things like that, focusing your time and effort there, and maybe looking at things that haven't done quite so well. We don't talk about Z auctions in Amazon, it's kind of a dirty word. But certainly there's a lot of lessons to be learned. And I think it's a wonderful position to be in, to see what's been tried and what's worked and what hasn't.
And is that your strategy, Ondrej, then you've had that position of being able to sit back and see what's gone on before you in other countries around the world and taking the best of the bad bunch?
Well, of course, we look around. We look especially to the States at Amazon, and Jamie is absolutely right that the model of buying online and collecting it in a pickup point works very well. And now the question is why Amazon never did it, and it was most probably because they would have to collect the sales tax, right? If they had the pickup point in California, they would have to charge the sales tax to the citizens of California.
I think there's a lot in that. If you look at what's happened over the last 2.5 months with the whole idea of sales nexus, where you have to pay tax locally, and the fact now that some of the states seem to have won some of those legal battles, it may change. They did do click and collect with 24/7 stores. But also Amazon's competitive advantage is its logistics infrastructure. It spent billions, tens of billions of dollars building that up, so it gets to leverage that. For someone coming into the game, I think click and collect is more important.
Okay, and now the question is, after the sales tax will be introduced in all the Californias and other states, will they open the pickup points? Or will they rely on distant delivery?
It's a great question. And I have
Do you
no
want to
idea
do my
what the
job?
answer is.
Yeah.
No, well, but this is really a key question for this multi-channel approach, why Amazon is not doing it. And I think essentially it's about, like, they want to keep the price advantage for a customer.
Yeah. It's the pure player, isn't
but
it?
But in the future, the internet is essentially becoming a play of not the lowest price, but the best service, as I think we all agree to.
And that's something Central Eastern Europe have got to learn by,
well,
really.
No. Well, we, not all the countries, but in the Czech Republic, we clearly see that. We are not the cheapest player on the market, but we have the best service. We are investing millions of euro every year to our logistical center. We are guaranteeing the next day delivery. If we don't do it, we pay you money. So, and that's actually what is valued by the customers, and what is also bringing the profit in the end, because most of the e-commerce players are not profitable, because there is a big price fight on the market.
Okay, well, let's now think about, is mobile the next big thing? I know, Terry, you've mentioned about it. I sometimes find it quite difficult to order things using the mobile phone. I don't find it a particularly user-friendly experience, as opposed to my iPad, and I can quite happily sit away and order all sorts of bits and pieces. In fact, you know, spending a fortune on that every evening, because it's so intuitive and easy to use. So let's think about, you know, is mobile the next big thing? Or are we missing a trick here, James?
I think you have to split the market, and I've had many long and interesting arguments about this, that I think mobile phones, you know, proper handheld devices, there is a limit to what you'll buy using a mobile phone, simply because, you know, screen real estate is not that big a screen. There is a certain amount of shopping you'll do with it. I think in different countries, especially countries where there isn't a very solid broadband infrastructure, phones will be incredibly important. But if you look at the UK, tablet use, iPad use, Android tablet use, I think it's one of the critical things that online retailers should be addressing. Because if you look at the statistics on what time of day people browse and what time of day people shop, I have an e-commerce business, and we look at this, and when do we get traffic, what devices are people using to access our site. That slot between 6 p.m. and 9 p.m. of people sitting on the sofa, flicking through a tablet, it's a lovely environment for shopping online. You can, you know, expand, you can do 2-pinch zoom in, you can flick through things. If you're not optimizing your e-commerce site for tablet use, I think you're missing a massive trick right now.
But Alex, I suppose the beauty of using mobile apps when it comes to the airline industry is that they've really advertised the fact that you can check in online, use a code to get in. So would you say the focus has been more mobile because of the industry slightly different to, say, where you've come from Amazon? Is the application slightly different?
Well, I think, yeah, I mean, when I flew here, I was able to get the boarding pass on my phone. It was sent to me by a text message, which seems a little bit of an antiquated middleman, but you know, hand it up to the person at security at check-in. They just scan the QR code and I'm done. Whereas traditionally it was log on, install Adobe Acrobat, print it, uninstall Adobe Acrobat. You run out of ink, your paper jam, you throw the printer out the window, you go get the printer, you plug it back in again.
Your plane's left by then.
Exactly. So it seems like such a natural extension of a device we carry with us 24 hours a day to ease what is a stressful process for everybody except outliers, frankly. But what's fascinating to me is, so everybody in my neighborhood, the amount of grocery delivery trucks that come to our neighborhood every day across the brands is extraordinary. I'd never seen that before in the US because for some reason we just don't do that. And we started exploring it, and my wife got really into it. And then we started playing with the Tesco app where we can scan barcodes, because trying to find a specific, I don't care if you're Amazon or Tesco or whoever, Google, finding the 50-gram jar of specific certain this brand with that, with no salt, whatever, is a pain. Scanning a barcode and it coming up and saying add to my order, oh, awesome. Yeah. Done. Why would I ever use anybody else?
Yeah. The mobile for Tesco, how important was that? Did it elicit a nice consumer-friendly experience?
I think very important, and in a way, you've got to separate mobile device from mobile phone, as it were. And I'd regard sitting on a sofa with an iPad as mobile, and And look at how quickly they'll converge, with the size now of the Samsung 3 screen and so on. And I think what's needed is software really designed for the mobile device. And that's where sometimes it looks a bit clunky because they haven't really been properly designed for that device. And then all of these things have got to get properly integrated into the physical systems network. That's another thing that still so you can pay, so you can, as I say, transact, you can handle marketing vouchers and things like that. But all of this will come, and I just think you'll see much more use of mobile devices when shopping.
And I think quite interesting is in South Korea, just incredible how Tesco built their market share there, waiting for people to, on the train platforms, people just scan the QR codes, and Tesco have built up market share literally from nothing to, is it second player now?
Yeah.
And was that all down to mobile? We have those in
Gatwick now, actually.
Sorry?
We have them in Gatwick, and I think you'll see shopping centres will change. So a modern shopping centre of the future will have click and collect points, lots more leisure in their coffee bars, because people will want to meet face to face. You'll be doing a lot of your mobile online shopping in a shopping centre because people just are social animals. There'll be virtual stores so that you don't see the physical goods, but you see the goods really attractively displayed that you can easily order. There'll be combinations of virtual, some latest stock released. What you won't see is great seas of fridges, filling up the store. So it's very interesting how you'll see this merger between traditional retailing and e-commerce.
So that's that virtual visual merchandising display that you do so well in, or did so well in South Korea.
I guess there's also the element there is as price goes, or price per item goes up, then price comparison becomes an opportunity as well for, not if you're in somebody else's store, but if I'm looking to buy a TV, I'm like, that's a pretty cool TV, I'm just going to jump online real quick and see if I can get it faster on Amazon or one of your competitors. And so I think that's probably an element. Am I going to go online and see if these baked beans are cheaper down the road? Probably not, but I would certainly...
Well, you wouldn't admit to it in public, would you?
I totally would.
Ondrej, how important is mobile to your business?
Well, of course, very important. By the way, we were the second player in the world who introduced this QR shopping in the subway in Prague. We did it last year, and it was great PR. Nothing.
People
really
love or hate QR codes, though, don't they? People find QR codes, don't know where to put them. But
it's maybe
both shown they are successful.
It's maybe too early for that in our region of the world. But coming back to your question about shopping on mobile, there is a big difference between shopping on an iPad and shopping on mobile phone. Well, mobile phone has ultimately worse shopping experience if you just translate the page that you see online on the computer to a smaller screen. Well, the experience sucks because it's smaller, you don't have the information there. But then when you really think about mobile experience, then you have to build in the features that mobile offers and the desktop computer doesn't, such as camera, such as GPS. So we see a lot of new companies doing augmented reality now. So you point your camera to a product that you like, and it immediately shows you on the screen the retailers they can sell it to you. And then if the retailer is having sort of a good mobile experience, then the customer can buy there. So I think when thinking about mobile, we need to think not in a way of optimizing my site into a small screen. We need to think completely different approach.
It feels like it's an interesting, it's a great point, because I think if you try and compartmentalize your entire retail experience into a tiny screen, you're going to fail, like you said. But if you can find the natural extensions, like loyalty is a great example. Starbucks have done an amazing job of transferring the loyalty of a gift card or a common stored value card onto a mobile experience and then linking it to your bank account. That's like crack. If I don't have to bring out my wallet and pay and pick up all the coins I just dropped, I just hold up the app and it auto decrements as well as understanding all the juicy details about what I just ordered.
And we'll be talking probably about the Square later on during the payments panel, actually, because Starbucks have invested very heavily into that. So they look like they're putting their fingers in all sorts of pies. Yeah. We're nearly at an end. I can't believe the time has gone by. So I just want to get all thoughts from all the panelists now, just to look at the biggest opportunities that you see out there and what you'd like to impart on the audience. I think it's always really important for the audience to think, right, I get that, and this is what I should be doing next. So some words of wisdom. James, I know you've got it in abundance. Words of wisdom, and what are the opportunities out there?
I'd like to go back to something Alex said right at the beginning, and that's about marketplaces. I think there's a huge opportunity for, especially someone who's already got, like Ondrej, who's already got a retail business, to open up a marketplace to let the literally millions of people who'll spend their time and effort and money sourcing product, selling product, putting together merchandising programs and all of that, to sell it on an existing platform that has traffic already. Because Amazon does this. It's 40% of Amazon's business. The Amazon marketplace business, it's a lot more than 40% of the Amazon total contributory profit. It's a business that's growing at 65% a year. So this is a business that this year will be the thick end of $27, $28 billion, and that's going to grow at another 65%. It's a fantastic business. It gives Amazon money, it gives them profit, it gives them the most amazing business intelligence. 2 million people log into Amazon every week and tell Amazon what their pricing is going to be. Now, would Amazon take advantage of that? Would Amazon retail possibly use that to price match? Of course they do. Everyone knows that. Yeah. I think for people to replicate that, which no one else is still really doing. Tesco's, I know, somewhere on that trail has been, the Tesco's marketplace has been kind of on its way for a while. But I think that would be an amazing opportunity for someone like Ondrej to go and try and repeat that specific piece of technology.
Alex, very quickly though.
Don't forget people. How many of you work for or are involved in digital-only businesses? Like just pure e-commerce. Okay, we always whine about we never get to interact with our customers. That's just categorically not true. Meet your customers, write to your customers, little handwritten notes. Have a conversation with them. Do whatever it takes to break down the barrier between physical retail and digital retail. And take them out for a beer, have a coffee with them. The information and feedback and loyalty that you will get from it is priceless. It's not a tech tip or a hack tip. It's just the way good business works.
I like the idea of a handwritten note. That's if we can remember to handwrite anymore. Now that we're so used to our digital devices.
It makes such a difference. It really does.
Thank you very much for that. Ondrej, thoughts from you?
Thoughts on that the customer is the center point?
No. Just your final thoughts you'd like to impart with the audience. So some opportunities out there, very quickly.
Well, I think it's really all about service to the customer. It's not about the features on the web. It's not about how cool your marketing can be. It's not about the price. It's about the service to the customer. Okay. So when we think about that defines the strategy. So the strategy is not lying in sourcing the cheapest way. The strategy is lying in what can I do more to serve the customer faster and more hassle-free. If I look in the States, what are the reasons for shopping online? Price is on the 5th place. First is hassle-free. Second, saving fuel and time and others. But it's not about price. Central and Eastern Europe and Poland especially is about price. And people go to search engines to shop for the best price. So we have a lot of things ahead of us. And well, really challenging. And it varies from country to country, doesn't it? Because some countries within this region, it's going to be hard to shift them away from that cheap price that they're looking for. And if you look to Britain, price comparisons are virtually almost out of the market. Interesting point. So Terry, final thoughts from you.
I think make sure you build the infrastructure to keep pace with your aspiration. I mean, if you look at traditional retailers, they so often aspire to do more than they can actually do. So, you can't get the product, it isn't the right size, the staff aren't trained, the technology doesn't work, and so on. All those frustrations that actually damage loyalty and customer service are repeating themselves right now on e-commerce, and possibly more so. So it's an amazing future out there, but if you don't put the infrastructure in behind, you're going to start, you know, customers are very patient at the moment with e-commerce, but they're going to start expecting a lot more. They already are, actually. And you'll see businesses who fail because they couldn't actually deliver the promise.
Well, hopefully that's given you plenty of food for thought. We've had a brilliant panel selection here today. Thank you very much to James Denning. We really appreciate that you took time to come to Poland, aren't we, ladies and gentlemen? Also to Alex Hunter, Ondrej Fryc, and of course to Terry Leahy. Thank you very much to all our panellists.